Welcome, everyone, to this visual study. Today, we are undertaking a complete summary of an incredibly intriguing, highly detailed presentation that was originally posted by the YouTube channel Hourly Watch. And just as a quick note, a link to that original source is provided for you right below in the description, so definitely go check that out. Now, what we are exploring today is a really fascinating intersection. We're looking at where modern high-tech astronomical tracking collides head-on with ancient biblical prophecy. It is essentially a study of massive contrasts. On one hand, you have the unimaginable, sprawling, infinite scale of our solar system, and on the other, you have very specific, concrete dates pinned onto a human calendar. The creator over at Hourly Watch uses meticulous digital mapping. We're talking eclipses, constellations, and a whole list of specifically named asteroids to literally forecast divine events. It's a dense, complex web of information that spans millions and millions of miles of deep space, yet it's all used to try and answer some of humanity's absolute oldest, most intimate questions. So we are going to break down this entire celestial framework step by step. We're going to take a massive amount of astronomical data and biblical cross-referencing and turn it into a clear, focused, and totally accessible narrative for you.
To really get what's going on here, we have to begin by establishing the exact mindset and worldview of the creator. This is absolutely crucial for understanding the profound motivation behind everything else in this study. The presentation actually opens with this specific verse, John 15:18. If the world hate you, you know that it hated me before it hated you. The creator really emphasizes a theological perspective that is fundamentally separated from the secular world. They make it a point to note that true believers are, quote, not of this world. And that creates a powerful foundation of expectation, but also often a profound sense of isolation. Think about it. When an individual feels completely detached from or even rejected by contemporary worldly systems, institutions, and modern culture, it makes perfect sense that they would start looking upward. Quite literally, looking up for comfort. They're searching for undeniable mathematical proof written in a place where humanity simply cannot alter it. And that place is the stars. So this verse isn't just an opening thought to brush past. It really sets the emotional and spiritual tone for an entire analysis that is dedicated to finding direction and finding ultimate truth mapped out in the heavens, far, far above the chaos of everyday earthly life.
So here is our roadmap for this study. We're covering 5 main areas today. 1. Signs in the sky. 2. The swift cloud prophecy. 3. Calculating the year 2033. 4. Aligning asteroids in Scripture. And finally, 5. An earthly plea.
All right, let's dive right into Section 1, Signs in the Sky, specifically focusing on the 8/12 diamond ring eclipse.
So the upcoming August 12th eclipse is framed by the creator as this massive, undeniable celestial marker. They refer to this specific astronomical event as the diamond ring eclipse. And if you've never seen one, it's pretty incredible. As the moon obscures the sun, that very final burst of light creates the distinct visual of a luminous engagement or wedding ring just hanging right there in the pitch-black sky. But, as you might guess, this study goes way deeper than just a romantic visual metaphor. It actually ties this event directly back to historical Ring of Fire or annular eclipses, connecting the timing to the exact calendar dates mentioned in the book of Genesis regarding Noah's great flood. If we look at the biblical narrative, it was on the 2nd month and the 17th day that the fountains of the great deep burst apart and the heavens were opened. The creator draws a really intense parallel here. They interpret a ring of fire in the sky, not merely as rocks and burning gas crossing paths in the void of space, but as the modern equivalent of a divine promise, or, conversely, a stern warning. According to the source material, the signs surrounding the specific August 12th eclipse are literally the strongest and most perfectly aligned with Scripture that have ever been witnessed by humanity.
Moving on to Section 2, the swift cloud prophecy. This is where we start unlocking Isaiah 19:1.
Now, to really grasp how ancient texts are merging with modern astronomy here, we have to look at how the creator uses something called Strong's Exhaustive Concordance. For those of you who might be unfamiliar with it, Strong's Concordance is basically this massive, brilliant index. It takes every single English word translated in the Bible and links it right back to its original Greek or Hebrew root word and meaning. So the creator looks up the reference number 3507, which gives us the Greek word Nephilah. And Nephilah translates very simply to a cloud. Okay, so why does that matter? Well, the significance here is that there is an actual physical asteroid currently flying through our solar system that is officially named Nephilah. And when you track the specific asteroid using modern digital planetarium software right during that August 12th diamond ring eclipse we just talked about, a totally stunning visual occurs. Nephilah positions itself perfectly behind the moon and the sun. If you track it hour by hour on the software, this massive rock, named Cloud, disappears and then reappears right in the dead center of the eclipse. The Creator connects this digital tracking directly to the physical cloud that the ancient Israelites followed through the wilderness in the book of Exodus. It's seen as a guiding, literal sign placed purposefully in the heavens for us to find right now.
And then, this astronomical tracking is layered right over the prophetic text of Isaiah 19:1. That verse famously reads, "Behold, the Lord rideth upon a swift cloud." The study takes this imagery and interprets it entirely literally by mapping the night sky. Remember, we already have the asteroid Nephiel, which means cloud, making its grand presence known right during the eclipse. But incredibly, there is another entirely separate asteroid out there, literally named Swift. And on this exact same date, the asteroid Swift is simultaneously seen moving right across the Lion constellation. So think about that for a second. Floating out there in the infinite vacuum of space, you have an asteroid called Swift, an asteroid representing a cloud, and the Lion constellation, all converging into a single cohesive astronomical event. For the Creator, the staggering statistical unlikelihood of these specifically named space rocks aligning so perfectly with a single verse in Isaiah is just paramount. To them, the scientists and astronomers over at the International Astronomical Union are unwittingly acting as modern-day prophets. They are assigning names to rocks that perfectly manifest a visible realization of Jesus preparing to return on a, quote, swift cloud.
All right, Section 3, calculating the year 2033. We are going from the Ottomans all the way to the millennium.
So at this point, the study temporarily shifts its gaze away from the stars above and brings things down to historical mathematics. The Creator actually credits a viewer named Daniel for providing a highly specific, very intricate chronological breakdown, which is based on the prophecies found in the book of Daniel, specifically Daniel 9:22. To understand this math, stay with me here. We have to look at the biblical formula of 7 weeks and 62 weeks. In prophetic biblical calculations, a week very often represents 7 years, so if you do the math, 69 weeks of years equates to exactly 483 years. Now this timeline doesn't begin in ancient antiquity like you might expect, it actually begins in the year 1543. This is the historically documented year that the Ottoman Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent finally concluded his massive project of rebuilding the walls surrounding the old city of Jerusalem. By applying that 483-year biblical formula directly to the 1543 starting point, the mathematics land exactly on the year 2026. From that 2026 anchor point, the study then projects a standard 7-year tribulation period. In eschatology, this is a time widely prophesied to be filled with the Antichrist, global chaos, and divine judgment. Adding those final 7 years brings the ultimate calculation to the year 2033. According to this entire framework, 2033 is it. It marks the definitive end of human-led governments, the exact moment the earthly kingdom is established, and the start of the 1,000-year millennial reign.
This brings us to Section 4, Aligning Asteroids and Scripture. Let's look at this celestial map.
Returning our focus back up to the stars, the Creator introduces a massive, highly specific web of named asteroids that act as further prophetic confirmations. Essentially, earthly biblical figures and concepts are being mapped directly onto chunks of rock floating out in deep space. Take the asteroid Casper, for example. It is seen in close conjunction with an asteroid actually named Israel. Casper is traditionally recognized as the name of one of the biblical magi, the wise men. So what we have here is a literal rendering of the wise men traveling to Israel to find the newborn king playing out in planetary orbit. Then, nearby, there is the asteroid Sirion. This is interpreted as Simon of Cyrene, the man who was suddenly pulled from the crowd by Roman soldiers and forced to help carry Jesus' cross to Golgotha. If you keep tracking further across the digital planetarium, you find an asteroid named Rel, symbolizing a sounding trumpet of revelation, and one named Booth, which represents the temporary tabernacles or tents that were set up by Moses in the desert. The Creator deeply, truly believes that God is sovereignly ordaining the exact naming conventions used by modern secular astronomers to communicate timeless divine truth.
And the incredible specificity of these named rocks just continues. For instance, the asteroid bonus is interpreted within this celestial framework as the heavenly rewards that are given for earthly works after salvation. Then you have Neaster, which is derived from a Hebrew root word, mapped out as representing a literal biblical miracle occurring in real time. Believe it or not, there is even an asteroid named after Isaac Newton, and it's highlighted here as a nod to history's most famous Christian scientist, basically further validating this marriage of hard physics and deep faith. And the asteroid Sarah is viewed as a confirmation of a prophetic birth, or representing the rapture itself. But the source actually goes on to mention tracking even more obscure, almost absurdly named asteroids that just happen to be in proximity. They track rocks named Lucifer, one named Tooting to represent a blowing horn, alongside asteroids simply named Bomb, Big, and even NASA.
Now, it raises a really fascinating rhetorical curiosity, doesn't it? Is it possible that a divine entity is speaking to humanity through a space rock named Tooting? Well, to the creator of this study, the answer is an absolute, unwavering yes. Every single named object in this cosmic neighborhood, no matter how bizarre or random the modern moniker might seem, is viewed as part of a deliberate, beautifully orchestrated divine sentence. Now, moving into planetary symbolism, Jupiter plays a massive, central role in this study. In pure astronomical terms, Jupiter is the undisputed king of our solar system. It's a gas giant so completely massive it literally dwarfs all the other planets combined. Well, in this celestial mapping, the creator points out that the asteroid named Lion is positioned directly on top of Jupiter. This alignment is instantly interpreted through a very powerful biblical lens. In the book of Revelation, Jesus Christ is famously referred to as the Lion of the tribe of Judah. Therefore, seeing the lion resting squarely on the king planet is an incredibly striking visual metaphor. For the creator, it represents the ultimate sovereign taking his rightful throne. And again, this is a majestic theological concept drawn entirely from the raw data outputs of digital planetarium software.
And these planetary alignments echo Scripture in some highly specific ways. The study highlights the current position of an asteroid named Loveday. At the precise time of this observation, the asteroid Loveday sits directly between the planets Jupiter and Mercury. The creator points out that reading this alignment from left to right, Jupiter and then Mercury, matches the exact phrasing found in the biblical story of Acts 14:12. In that specific text, the apostles Paul and Barnabas are in the city of Lystra, where they perform a miracle by healing a crippled man. The pagan crowds are so absolutely astounded that they believe the Greek gods have physically descended to Earth, so they call Barnabas Jupiter and Paul Mercurius. By having the asteroid Loveday positioned right smack in the middle of these two specific planets, the study presents it as yet another perfect, intentional scriptural echo that's just been hiding in plain sight. It is viewed as a moment of divine love bridging the gap between two deeply significant biblical names right out there in our solar system.
And that brings us to Section 5, an earthly plea. This is where we are grounding the cosmos.
Right here, the narrative of the original video pivots dramatically, and I mean dramatically. We transition away from the grand, infinite scale of the cosmos, from tracking the movements of Jupiter and deciphering ancient clouds, all the way down to the creator's very immediate, very harsh earthly reality. It is a staggering juxtaposition, really. Despite using this advanced software to decode the heavens and anticipate the glorious return of a divine king, the creator's daily life is facing some severe friction. The day after their previous upload, the bus that they literally live and work out of broke down completely and had to be towed to a local Walmart parking lot. The mechanical diagnosis is a really expensive one. They need a brand new fuel pump, which apparently requires completely removing the massive gas tank just to fix it. On top of all that, they mentioned being completely out of basic earthly survival supplies. We're talking tents, backpacks, and basic gear just to weather the elements. The creator notes they have been running this grueling on-the-road video ministry for 10 full years, operating constantly on the absolute edge of poverty, and right now, they're simply hoping to secure the means to survive the week.
The absolute most pressing earthly hurdle they are facing right now comes down to this exact number, $2,000. This is the amount the Department of Motor Vehicles requires in back pay for expired registration tags on that broken-down bus. They are facing a strict, unyielding deadline to pay this off by the end of the month, or they risk losing their home and the recording studio entirely. To try and solve this, the creator mentions that a GoFundMe link has been placed in their description box, humbly asking the digital flock they have built over a decade to help them finish the race strong. And you know, the irony here is just poignant and deeply human. Think about it. Here is a mind focused entirely on the imminent, cosmos-shattering arrival of the millennial kingdom in the year 2033, while simultaneously being crippled by the stress of worldly DMV bills and a broken fuel pump sitting on the asphalt of a Walmart parking lot. It really grounds the whole study in a stark reality. Which brings us to our final conclusion. This study reveals an absolutely fascinating intersection of modern digital power and ancient, unyielding faith. We have explored a journey that started with the 1543 Ottoman Empire, traced a mathematical path all the way to 2033, mapped out ancient biblical stories using asteroids named everything from Caspar to Tooting, and ended with the stark, difficult reality of a broken-down bus in a parking lot. We possess apps today that can track a rock called Nephele millions of miles away in the dead, freezing vacuum of space, and yet we use that exact cutting-edge technology to try and fulfill thousands of years old scripture. So I want to leave you with this provocative thought to consider today. As our technology allows us to map the stars with unprecedented precision, will humanity ever stop looking to the heavens to decode the mysteries of the divine? Or does having a clearer digital view of the universe simply give us an infinitely larger canvas to project our oldest hopes and fears onto? I hope you found this visual study as fascinating to walk through as I did. Thanks for joining me.